Over the last 3 years, I've made my clients over $280 million. And today, I want to embark with you on a 7-part series on the exact framework and process that we use for our clients. I call it the Dominus Way. Today, we're going to break down my exact framework for making 200 million online. This guide is meant to be wildly overwhelming. I know that that's not traditional. I was gonna keep it short and just make it 7 easy steps in this video, but I just kept typing and typing and typing because I really didn't want to half-butt this, if you know what I mean. Nothing like this exists of mine on the internet. You can go through all of my content, watch 40 hours of my YouTube videos, and nothing's pieced together in this way. I spill the tea, including all the hacks that makes my services worth $25,000 to $100,000 per month. And I'm gonna break it down with you today. So just a quick little introduction if you're not familiar with me. My name is Schubert. Over the past decade, I've generated more than 280 million. It's actually been in the last 3 years online, primarily leveraging paid advertising through countless different campaigns, niches, relentless testing. I've repeated this framework consistently and constantly for a lot of clients and delivered profitable results specifically for info products, coaching businesses, agencies, and high-ticket lead generation. I work primarily with businesses that do 7 figures, so at least 500K per month. So if that is your business, this video today is going to be for you. This document shares the exact strategy that I've personally used to scale these businesses step by step. Once again, this is going to be in a 7-part series. So just a quick bit about Dominus. Led by myself, is a premium growth partner for high caliber info businesses and coaches and high ticket businesses. Just a little quick bit of myself. I've worked with over 4,000 businesses, both on the consulting and done for you, and I've spoken on stages pretty much all over the world. So this is the framework breakdown, and these are the 7 parts that we're going to cover. The part that we're going to cover today is identifying your starving crowd. It's one of the most important parts, but then we're also going to get to crafting an irresistible offer, optimizing your sales funnel and your back end, building high converting landing pages, mastering paid ads, and creating winning ad creatives. And if you stick around to the end, I'll even include a bonus episode on how to do challenges and webinars in 2025. So starting with part number 1, this is arguably one of the most important parts, is identifying that starving crowd. I know that there's a lot of text here. I will paste the document in the video below so that you guys can review it. But before you ever think about running ads, you have to find the crowd of people who are desperate for the actual solution, right? And I'm not talking about general business stuff like business owners or dentists or whatever that might be. We have to get very granular and very specific. Oftentimes, I'll even use software like ChatGPT or Google or whatever it might be to help me with this actual research and help me compile all of this information in one place. I'll compile it into a chat, but I want to go to the platform where the real people are actually hanging out, right? So this means private Facebook groups, even if they have strict entry requirements. Those are generally the best ones. Reddit threads, niche forums, Quora, LinkedIn groups, YouTube comments on related videos, Amazon reviews of your competitor products. So depending on what it is that you're selling. So there's a few different places that you can go to, and you're not just randomly browsing through these and trying to get an idea of what's going on. You need to get down to the actual granular specifics. Now, if you already have an offer, because as we discussed, this is generally works best for businesses that are at least making 50K per month already, then you'll also be able to go to your sales videos and you'll be able to go through and listen to each one and listen to what every single person is saying. Now, once we find these groups with the ton of engagement, look for lots of comments, emotional posts, and detailed discussions. The more active, the better. What you want is passion and pain. So people that are incredibly passionate about whatever it is the topic that we're talking about, or people that have a lot of pain about something, like they feel remorse or regret, or they have a solution that needs immediate consoling. When people write paragraphs about their struggles, that is your sweet spot. That is what you're looking for. for. Red flags to avoid: groups where most people get 0 to 1 comments, or where the conversation is casual and not problem focused. These aren't starving crowds, they're just kind of hanging out and trying to find their first few dollars on the internet, or they're looking for some entertainment. So those aren't the groups that you want to go to. Next, document the exact language and pain point. Now, I'll document in 2 different places because I will copy it onto a Word document, literally their exact words and phrases I will copy onto there, and then I'll also copy and paste it into ChatGPT because that is the source where I'm going to get a lot of my research and information and statistics and different things like that. So I'm going to create a swipe file of the exact phrases people use. Pay special attention to what keeps them up at night, what they've already tried that failed, how the problem affected their relationships, career, or self-image, what they believe is holding them back, the specific outcome they're desperately wanting or they're desperately seeking. This isn't just research, these are exact words that you're going to use in your ads and landing pages. You're going to use these on your sales calls. You're going to use these on your email and SMS automation. These are the exact words because it is what people want. It is what they're already looking for. They are giving you all the evidence and they are telling you everything. That's why identifying the starving crowd and doing this research is so incredibly important, because it's going to give you the ammo that you need in order to create your offer, and then that same exact ammo you're going to use to create your landing pages, your ads, your emails, your SMS, just like I said. So you have to pay very close attention, and you want to use people's exact words. You want to find common denominators. If lots of people are saying the same thing over and over again, note that down, that is one of the common things that people are saying. Now, when prospects see you describing their problem better than they could themselves, they instantly trust you because they know that you understand their market, and because they know that everything that you're going through or everything that they're going through is something that you understand, because it seems like you've either gone through it as well, or you're able to solve that problem that they've actually gone through. And this can apply for anyone. I know that you guys are probably thinking that, oh, this is just for coaching or info or agencies or whatever. It can apply to someone that wants to use a trading algorithm software that you have. For people that have used hundreds of other algorithm softwares, or for people that have done trading for their whole life, or people that have invested in things that haven't paid off. These are things that you're looking for. Now, you want to validate with micro tests, right? Because you don't want to launch full-on campaigns, build out full landing pages, all this kind of stuff without doing some form of like small tests here and there to see if you can actually validate this. Because it's very expensive, especially if you work with an agency that's building it out for you. It costs thousands of dollars. Even if you're working with 3 freelancers, it can still cost thousands of dollars. So we want to try and start doing some micro tests to start validating the ideas that we have. So let's dive into some of what that could look like. Before going all in, I always run small tests to confirm I found a true starving crowd. Now, what does a true starving crowd actually look like? Well, to be able to find that, we need to create a simple poll in that group, if it's allowed to, right? That's one easy way of doing it. Post a question that hints at your solution, right? So if you're seeing something constantly, if you're inside of a media buyer group and say you sell a media buying course, post a poll, polling all the media buyers what things that they're having constant trouble with, whether it's finding good jobs, whether it's finding good pay, whether it's certain skills that they haven't learned yet that they would like to learn, whether it's courses or programs or communities that they're in that don't fully educate them or solve their problems. Poll those things and you'll see exactly what media buyers are looking for. Post a question in there that hints that you might have that solution and see how many people actually engage with that. Maybe even run a small $50 to $100 ad campaign targeting this specific pain point. And you'll do this through DM ads, because then you'll have people come into your DMs. You'll be able to test the sentiment of what people are feeling, what they're saying. You can just use basic static ads. You can just use basic graphic design, templates, whatever, post a few ads, spend 50 to 100 bucks a day for a week, see what the DMs are like, see what people are saying, and that will give you an idea more or less if what you're saying is actually validated. And you can create a simple landing page with an email opt-in offering some kind of free solution, a free lead magnet, whatever it might be. You can run ads to this, you can test it with an organic audience, you can test these things on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, you can post content about this and see if you get a lot of engagement, see if you get a lot of views of people that are having this same problem. This is one way where you can do some forms of micro tests before you go all in and start spending $1,000 a day on a campaign. Now, if you get passionate responses, DMs asking for more information, or a decent opt-in rate, 3%-ish. You've struck gold. If engagement is lukewarm, if they keep digging, your crowd isn't starving enough yet, then that might not be the option that you're looking for. Remember, the hungrier the crowd, the easier the sale is. And that's one of the most important things, right? We want people that are coming to the call that are already sold because of how hungry they are and because of how starving and how much they need a solution. So I've seen businesses completely transform just by shifting to more desperate audiences, right? Now, you can even talk about something like e-com. I'm not going to give you any specific examples for this because obviously it's a very sought after thing, but e-com is something that is very much taught in the industry. But everyone's speaking to the same crowd. They're all talking about people that want to make their first dollar online, that want to scale their brand, whatever it might be, whether it's an info course or an agency. But there are very few people that can target and that can find these exact desperate audience. There's an agency that we work with that we were able to find a very, very desperate audience within the e-com niche, a niche that is very, very saturated, an agency niche that is very, very saturated. And when we implemented all these tests, we saw incredible results, and then we started running them as ads, and people were coming to the call with their credit cards already out, ready to pay, because we had already identified a solution for a desperate crowd. And so we didn't need to sell them on we're better than anyone else because they could tell that we understood what they were going through and the solution that they felt no one else actually had. So don't skip these steps and don't rush it. Everything else in this framework depends on getting this part absolutely right. And this is why this part is the most important one of this entire series. So now moving on to the next slide. For identifying your starving crowd, we're going to learn how to take notes using their exact words, right? So we're going to copy and paste their exact words. We're not going to paraphrase them. We're not going to put them down how we think that they're trying to say things or what we think they're trying to insinuate. We want to copy and paste the exact words that they say. So if they say, "My hands shake every time I speak in front of my team," write that down word for word. You'll use their own language in your ads later, and trust me, this works insanely well. So not only are you going to paste that into your document where all of your notes are, you're going to paste that into ChatGPT, because even when you don't remember it, ChatGPT will, and you'll say, "Hey, remember what people were saying that they were struggling with and issues that they were having. In this landing page, make sure you address those and you use their exact same words." Or if you have a copywriter, tell them the exact same thing. But when you're doing the research, you need the exact same words. So, like I said, create that swipe file, organize it by pain point so you can see what the pain points are, what the common denominators are, and you're using their exact same words under bullet points, the exact quotes that they have. When someone describes their problem in a uniquely emotional way, highlight it, because emotions sell. These phrases are pure gold for your marketing copy and will make your prospects feel like you're actually reading their mind, because you are. You're reading into and reading the words, the exact words that people are saying that are going through this problem. And if there's one, there's more, right? You got to find the more. But once you have 5, 10, 20 examples of people saying the same exact things, likelihood of that being a problem for hundreds and hundreds of people is very, very high. So interact and ask questions. Don't just lurk. actually interact with these people, because they could just be things that they're saying publicly, or they see it's a common denominator from people that everyone else is saying, and maybe they're just trying to fit in. Remember, people aren't always unique. They like to fit in. They like to say the same things as other people. So maybe they're just copying people, right? So if you're actually interacting with them and asking them simple questions, you get more details from them on how they feel. If they're saying, like, my hands are shaking every time I speak in front of my team, ask them, what are you speaking in front of your team about? How many people are there generally there? What is your position in the company, right? All of these things can give you insights of exactly which type of person that is, your ICP. Interact and ask some questions. Don't just lurk, actually interact with them. So some of the questions that I usually like to use for this specific example. What specifically scares you most about public speaking? That's a good one to ask. What's the worst part about dealing with this? My boss doesn't give me more opportunities to do it. I really want to do it, but I'm embarrassed. I get more opportunities, which will allow me to rise higher in my company. It shows that I'm a leader, et cetera, et cetera. How has this problem affected your career and your personal life? Well, every time I have a presentation the next day, I can't sleep at night. I get in arguments with my wife. We can't have a good conversation because my mind's always on this, and I can't focus on spending time with her. My boss never gives me more opportunities to do it because I always fail. I can tell I'm being held in my position because I don't have good leadership qualities, because I can't speak in front of people. What solutions have you already tried that didn't work? Right? Because there's a lot of solutions out there for it. I haven't really tried anything, or I haven't really found anything that really addressed it. I joined some public speaking communities. I took a public speaking class at like the local community college, and it really didn't do anything for me. So I've tried all these things, and there's just nothing works for me. What would your life look like if this problem was solved, right? It sounds like I'm closing them on something, right? But I'm really just trying to understand and really dive into what they're going through. These exact questions, these are things that you can do on a sales call, right? It's the same exact thing you're trying to do with a prospect, to try and get into their mind and understand what they're going through. However, if we do this before a sales call and we're able to put it into our marketing material, then on the sales call, they already think that you're reading their mind. They already think that you understand them, and you'll have to do a lot less of this and a lot more collecting cash, okay? So this is encouraging deeper insights and more emotional responses. The stories they share will reveal hidden motivations that you can address in your offer. Let's move down the slide. Now, if you're really serious about understanding your audience and about understanding what they're going through, you can even conduct surveys or quick calls. Now, I will say calls are easier because you're less likely to get people just answering a survey just because, unless you offer them something for free at the end. Calls are much, much easier. You can literally say like, oh man, I feel you, I understand. Those are things that I'm going through as well. You want to hop on a quick call and brainstorm about possible solutions or how we can get through this. Or I'm like, man, yeah, I experienced something like that in the past. Just wanted to ask you a few questions because I'm actually trying to help people like you, and I just would like to understand you more, right? So if you're serious, you can hop on quick calls, you can send surveys. 5-minute survey can give you absolute gold about them, and you'll know exactly how to frame your offer. On these calls, listen for emotional triggers and objections, right? And you can even take the transcript of this call, upload it in GPT, and say like, hey, show me the emotional triggers and the objections that this person had. Often what people say is their biggest problem isn't actually what's holding them back, right? We all know people lie, they need to open up more, or they don't give the whole truth online. They put on a facade. When you're face to face with them, when you're talking with them on a phone, then it's a lot easier to get the full details out of them. So then you can actually see what kind of information that we're holding off on the chat room or on the group or whatever it might be. Let them talk, and you'll discover the real roadblocks that your competitors are actually missing, right? Especially if they've done courses, if they've done coaching, if they've paid for a service before, that you'll really understand what they're going through and what's actually missing from the competitors that are trying to solve that problem for them. Now, here's a pro tip. Record these calls, with permission of course, so you can review them later and pick up subtle cues you missed from the first time. So you want to watch it again because one, you want to actually see how they're acting, right? It's not necessarily all about the words. We want to see how they're acting, if they're looking around, if they're distracted, whatever that might be. But as I said also, you'll take that transcript and you'll upload that. So you want to make sure that you record that call. So, running small test offers. We addressed this a little bit. I just want to dive more into it so that we can really dissect it. Before building your entire funnel, test micro offers to validate the demand. Create a small free guide. You can do free lead magnets. You can even do, like I said, you can do presentations like this where you're trying to validate an idea. You can do videos on YouTube. You can do threads on X or on LinkedIn. You can give away free lead magnets, all this kind of stuff. Create simple guides and checklists addressing one specific pain point and promote it with a small budget, right? So you can do it organically, but you can also do it through ads. Watch these metrics super carefully, right? Because you want to validate your idea. Click-through rate above 1.5% indicates strong interest, especially if it's something for free, right? If you're a media buyer, you know 1% click-through rate is generally what you're looking for. So 1.5, I would even say, is a minimum for something for free, right? Opt-in rates above 25% suggest you're hitting a nerve, right? Meaning that through the copy on the landing page for that free lead magnet, people are like, oh yeah, that's me. So you want it to be above 25%. Open rates for follow-up emails over 40%, so genuine engagement and people that are actually trying to address this issue that they have. Now, once again, this is free. It is a micro test, so you're testing to see the demand and the desire of the people. It will be very different when you run it paid. So obviously you're not going to get the exact same metrics if you're selling this thing for $1,000, $3,000, $5,000. But these mini tests will save you thousands in development costs by confirming demand before you build out your complete solution. Because these simple things, you can just build them as GHL funnels. Use a template, super quick and easy, input your copy. That copy you're going to take from those transcripts of the calls that you had. You're going to have GPT help you come up with that copy using the exact words that people have. You can even record yourself talking about this problem yourself and talking about the solution. And then take that transcript, upload that into GPT as well. And that's more ammo for GPT to be able to give something back to you, right? So don't work harder, work smarter. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to analyze their spending patterns as well. A truly starving crowd has already tried to solve their problem. Otherwise, they're probably not that hungry. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, my shoes are always so disorganized when I come in the house. Okay, well, I'm not going to buy a course on how to organize that. Even if it's a problem for myself, you're gonna ask me like, oh, have you ever bought a course on like how to organize your clothes? No, not really. I kind of just figured it out and did it. You know what I mean? So it has to be people that have actually truly invested in trying to solve that problem. Look for what they're already buying, even if those solutions aren't working. What this reveals for you is their price sensitivity and what they value. Number two, where existing solutions are falling short. Number three, how to position your offer as the one missing piece, right? Because when you see what they're buying, when you see how much they're paying, when you see how much they value that solution, when you see where the existing solutions aren't fully fulfilling that need, and this will give you all the missing pieces to position your offer. You'll know how much to sell it for, and you might even be able to sell it for a little bit more if you're filling in missing pieces where other people fall short. You're knowing where to position your offer so that you can hit those things that they're falling short on. And then in all of your marketing material, you'll be able to address those pieces that people are falling short on. You're like, hey, I created a course on public speaking. I know that most public speaking courses are directed towards I don't know, people doing TED Talks. And this one is specific for when you have to lead company meetings. I know that most courses do not address this on how to do it over Zoom or how to do it to a boardroom. My course addresses this. And you'll be able to use that in your material so that when people are reading through and they're like, oh, I have that problem. I can't address a boardroom. I can't do a presentation on Zoom, right? Remember, if they've spent money trying to solve this problem before, they're much more likely to spend money on your solution. First-time buyers are always the hardest to convert. So if they're people that have already bought something, e-com brands that have already bought marketing agencies, then you know it's an easy sell to them because they're used to it, they've done it 100 times, you know how much they've paid. The only things that you have to do is solve where the other person failed. Now, here's a practical example of a starving crowd. This is actually one that we used, one of our clients, and how we were able to overcome it for them. So a lot of text here. Once again, I'll have this presentation in the comments below just so that you can review it. But recently, I did this exact same thing live. We picked the niche of tax resolution, and in about 10 minutes, we found Facebook groups, Reddit threads, filled with people panicking about IRS problems. These weren't just casual complaints, they were desperate pleas for help from people in genuine financial issues or genuine financial distress. They said things like drowning in IRS letters and paralyzed by back taxes. This wasn't minor stuff. They were losing sleep, genuinely stressed out, and many mentioned feeling hopeless and like there was no way out. Exact quotes. Some even shared they were considering bankruptcy or even selling their homes. Some people even talked about having issues with their spouses. Some people even mentioned eating disorders and problems that they're having with eating because of the stress and the anxiety that this debt brought onto them. Some talked about investing thousands into therapists and going to therapy in order to solve these problems. And so we saw a huge hole in the market where we could come in and solve these problems. Now, number one, we look for the specific trigger events. Looking deeper, we discovered specific trigger events that cause their anxiety to spike. Receiving penalty letters, facing wage garnishment threats, or discovering hidden tax liens. By understanding these specific moments of pain, we could time our messaging for maximum impact because we understood what triggered them. Number two, search behavior. We also noticed patterns in their search behavior, keywords like IRS payment plan help, stop tax levy immediately, and tax debt forgiveness showed their exact mindset during these crisis moments. Now, this is something that you can learn from SEO, from doing a quick audit of someone's website to see what keywords top tax people are ranking for, or you can just look at Google Trend History to see what people are searching in the realm of tax debt or in the realm of tax resolution or in the realm of taxes in general. And then we'll get exactly what people are already searching for, what they're looking for. Now, the emotional language. This one's incredibly important because people make emotional decisions. By using their own emotional language, our ads practically wrote themselves. The copywriter didn't have to sit and brainstorm and watch and research a bunch and funnel hack a bunch of people because they knew the words, the emotional things that they were saying, that they were drowning. And so we could use our ads, no guessing involved. We immediately knew how to speak directly to their deepest fears and position our solution as the lifeline they were desperately searching for. These people that were drowning, these people that were paralyzed, these people that felt like there was no way out, we were just positioning ourselves as the lifeline for their drowning, as the person that could help them be unparalyzed. See how easy this is? So, going on, we mirrored back phrases like stop the IRS nightmare, finally sleep through the night without tax anxiety. This direct connection to their emotional state created instant recognition when they saw our ads because hundreds of people were saying the exact same thing, and when we flipped it and literally just said the opposite. You could even say, hey, we're a life raft for your taxes, because we saw all these people that said that they were drowning. Beyond just ad copy, we even structured our entire funnel around their specific emotional journey. Our lead magnets, the 7-day IRS relief roadmap, address their immediate need for a clear plan while building trust before even asking for their sale. The campaign launched, resonated clearly, and took off right away. Within 48 hours, we had over 300 leads at a cost per lead that was 60% lower than the industry average, because the messaging was so precisely targeted. Instead of going to other tax resolution companies and seeing what they were doing and funnel hacking and just copying them, assuming that it works, we did our industry research and we were able to lower it by 60% compared to their competitors. What's fascinating is that our competitors were all using technical tax jargon and focusing on credentials, completely missing the emotional turmoil these people were experiencing. By speaking to the emotions first, we stood out immediately. So even if it didn't sound like we were the experts, like we knew every single technical word to use or what we actually did, we instead targeted the common person, spoke their exact language, and we centered our entire funnel around that language that we built for them. Now, when we later analyzed the calls, so this is even deeper into it, just so that you can see the power of it, 87% of the prospects mentioned they chose us because it felt like you understood exactly what I was going through. Gives you chills, right? Proof that finding your starving crowd and using their language works better than any clever marketing tactic. Doesn't matter the tactic you use. This can be direct to book call. This can be a VSL. This can be lead magnet to book call. This can be low ticket bump to higher ticket. It can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't matter, because the people understand, and that's all that matters. You don't need to be tricky and try and trick people into buying your thing when you speak their language and you found the starving crowd and you're speaking their exact same language, and if they feel like you understand them, because that's what people want, is to be understood. The ROI was staggering. A $3,200 initial ad spend turned into $142,000 in client revenue within 30 days. I think this should be $32,000. All because we took the time to listen before creating our offer. You can replicate this process in any niche. Spend 60 to 90 minutes browsing forums, groups, and review sections where your potential customers congregate. Look specifically for emotional language and recurring pain points. Then organize them by frequency and by intensity. The key is finding people with a specific emotional problem that keeps them awake at night. When you can articulate their pain better than they can themselves, they'll assume you must have the solution that they need. So when you're able to identify that starving crowd, doesn't really matter the offer that you put together. Doesn't really matter the ads that you use. There are hundreds of strategies. You can do webinars, you can do challenges, you can do low ticket funnels. Doesn't matter, because when you're speaking their language, they feel like you understand exactly what they're going through, they'll buy it however you package it for them. So that is part 1 of our 7-part series. As I mentioned, this first one we're going to do identifying starving crowds. So rewatch that over and over and over again. Do it, spend time on it. I'm going to post these every week, so you'll have 7 days to actually exercise these, and then you'll be able to find people with specific emotional problems that keep them awake at night, and then use their exact language for marketing. Then we're going to use that to craft our irresistible offer. With that irresistible offer, we are then going to build our funnel. We are then going to optimize our sales funnel. We're going to go through the paid advertising, and we're going to go through the winning ad creatives as well. We will do these step by step, and as I mentioned at the end, I will have a bonus for you. So thank you very much for watching. This is the Dominus Way. Once again, many of you will watch, but very few of you will actually listen.